It's 50 minutes after the hour. Here's your tropical update. I'm Brian Norcross in the Weather Channel Global Forecast Center with the latest here, and we are right on track. If you're just joining us, this is no improvement really here in the situation. The hurricane hunters have been out examining the storm. If anything, the storm is getting a little stronger as expected. It's at the very least holding its own, and the winds are spreading out as expected into this monstrous megastorm that all expectations are it is going to come toward the northeast U.S. and it's going to happen tomorrow. All right, here is the track now, and you can see this very unusual, in fact unprecedented direction. It's moving to the northeast as we've expected it to do, but the turn to the left is just about to happen, and Dr. Forbes is going to talk about that in the next hour. So it turns hard left tomorrow, and when it does that, it actually gets kind of a goose from the jet stream, and that actually intensifies it a little bit in the sense that the top winds in the circulation increase slightly, but the main thing is that the circulation is so huge that it occupies the entire northeast, and it's pushing the water ashore here on the right side. Now let me show you the future radar. Now this is our simulation, our RPM model here at the Weather Channel, where we can see what the radar is expected to look like tomorrow. So here we are at midnight tonight, and notice the rain here on the left side. So the circulation is down in here, but the rain on the left side there, it continues to be very, very heavy, as Dr. Forbes has been talking about. And as we go through the overnight and into the morning hours, and here comes the circulation up closer to the coast, you notice this concentration of rain here and a little bit arcing back on up into southern New England with a circulation right there. And so by midday tomorrow, it's offshore. This is about the time that the Hurricane Center is thinking that it will reach its peak intensity. Now moving through midday and on into the afternoon, as the center comes ashore sometime in the early evening to late evening, look at the rain pushing well inland, the heavy snow, maybe up to 2 feet of snow out there in the mountains, and some heavy rain up in North Florida, New England. Now, here is the issue, is that water being pushed on the right side of the storm up into North Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and on up into New England. And so that brings us to the storm surge discussion. And Mike Lowry, our storm surge specialist and hurricane specialist, is here. So let's talk about storm surge first of all and what that means. I'm standing at the high tide point. So I'm at the beach, the high tide. I'm standing right where the water comes up. And now a 6-foot storm surge.
Right, so the 6-foot storm surge is the water rise above your head. So we talk about 6 feet, the average adult male is 6 feet tall. You could expect that at your head. So if you were standing along the beach.
When we see here 4 to 6 feet storm surge here by Cape Hatteras, we're talking about the water coming up above normal that high.
Right.
So that gives you an idea. When we get to talking about 11-foot storm surges farther north, you know how much higher the water is. And remember, waves on top of that. Okay, so talk about now as the storm moves to the north and that circulation comes around and how that affects Cape Hatteras.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, we've already seen significant coastal flooding along Cape Hatteras. It's really been oceanside, though. We've had northeasterly winds. These will turn overnight through to the northwest, and what this will do is pile up water along the South Pamlico Sound.
So right now we're getting water piling up along the outer banks, right? And then as it comes around, it piles up kind of from inside out.
Right, so these sound areas here down into the southern part of the sound, we'll see the impacts overnight.
All right, now we've already seen flooding here in Norfolk, right? And I assume that's just because the winds are kind of pushing the water against the coast?
Yeah, and I think you'll see gradually the water levels start to come down overnight. You're going to have this shift in the winds, which will be blowing the water offshore in most of these areas.
So as the storm moves north, the winds come around like this. So it's going to get better down to the south. Now let's move farther north, because here we're going to have the wind and the energy pushing up there toward Long Island, the Jersey Shore, and the New England coast.
Yeah, this is our big story. In the track, we talk a lot about Irene. The track is very different, such that you have water driving up Long Island Sound, as well as water pushing up into New York Bay. This confluence here with a bullseye on northern New Jersey and New York City.
So what's really interesting, if you're in New York, you know about the East River, you know about the Hudson River, you know about New York Harbor, right? You know about Long Island Sound. So here comes the water in this way, here comes the water up this way, here comes the water down the Hudson River like this, and this Long Island Sound River water is actually coming down the East River. So it all meets down here in New York Harbor, and no doubt that's why they've ordered the evacuation.
Right, and including Raritan Bay, you expect to see significant storm surge. We're talking about 6 to 11 feet above ground, Brian. That's above where you're standing along the shore.
Just think about that there in Perth Amboy and on Raritan Bay at the mouth of the Raritan River. I mean, tremendous storm surge there. And here's where we are right now. 2.6 feet above normal right now, and the storm is down by North Carolina.
Yeah, we're already seeing significant water level rise. This will continue as